providing this wonderful master class on postseason play. And I want to say thank you to Johnny and Felicia for creating this opportunity for everybody. So again, congratulations to you if you're still playing, and welcome to postseason tips, postseason reminders. I know everyone that's still playing is exhausted. You're mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. This has been an unbelievable year. We've dealt with COVID. We've dealt with racial tension, unrest. It's just been an unbelievably abnormal year. And you have survived. You have faced adversity. You have fought through testing every day, testing every other day. You fought through competition. And so congratulations to you for you're still standing. And I know you're tired. I know you're physically, mentally, and emotionally tired. So take this opportunity. You're on the road. Take this opportunity to rest. Everybody's upset about the 48-hour isolation. Embrace it. Take this opportunity to get some quality rest. Find some quiet time. Read a book. Do something to relax and eliminate stress. And if you're the coach or coaches, do everything you can that eliminates stress. You don't want to create any stress. You want to eliminate stress. So it's really important that you and your assistants are staying in touch, really connected to your leaders and your players. Listen to them. How are they doing? Maybe you need to be playing some games. Maybe you need to be doing less Zoom calls instead of more. So think about how you can help them get past the exhaustion that everyone is feeling. If you as a coach are exhausted, imagine how your players feel. So take this opportunity to get some quality rest. I want to start out by giving you some scouting tips. Because if you're watching this, you're thinking about, all right, what is Coach Dunn going to tell me that might help me win my first game or my second game, or maybe help me move along in this postseason environment? And so the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is watch 3 films on your opponent that they lost. Watch 3 films on your opponent that they lost. And I suggest that all of you, your whole staff, I know one of your staff persons, one of your coaches is probably in charge of this opponent and scouting this opponent, but all of you need to watch losses of your opponent because they're unfamiliar. You're out of your conference now. You're playing somebody maybe you've never played before. So all of you need to be comfortable with what to expect. Don't worry about their wins. Focus on their losses. Why did they lose? You're really interested in what happened. It cost a loss. So that's a tip. Watch film on your opponent's last 3 losses. The second tip, scouting tip that I've got for you is less is better. You don't need to have an enormous scouting package for your players. Don't overwhelm them. Remember, they're tired. They're tired. So zero in on your opponent's 3 favorite offensive actions. That's it. And it may only be 2. You know what to expect offensively. This is what they love to do. These are the 2 or 3 things that they are going to do. If it's a motion offense, if it's a lot of middle screen and roll or side screen, whatever it is, you know what it is. So focus in on that, and that's going to be the offensive piece of your scouting package for your team. Do not overwhelm them with a lot of detail about your opponent. It's not the time. They're too tired for that. Second, know your opponent's favorite sideline out of bounds play and their favorite inline out of bounds. That's all you need to know. Offensively, focus in on those things. Defensively, what does your opponent like to do? Not everything they like to do, but what do they like to do as a primary set? Are they a man team? Are they a zone team? Are they a combo team? You need to know what to expect. And in particular, how do they guard the 2-man game? Are they going to ice you? Are they going to trap you? Are they going to hard hedge? You know what to expect from your opponent defensively. The other thing you want to know is how will they guard your low post? You are ready. You know if they double, you know if they front. So you have that in your mind and in your scouting package. And if they're going to defend you in a way that you haven't been defended recently, then you are going to have to spend more time on that piece. Does your opponent press? And if it's a press that you've seen all year long, then you don't have to waste any time on it. If it's something you've never seen or rarely seen, maybe they have a 1-3-1 half court trap, be prepared for that. So zero in on the 2 or 3 things that you need to be aware defensively to go with your offensively, and keep it simple. Keep it simple. Also, scout the coach. What is Mike Neighbors' tendencies? What is Don Staley's tendencies? What does Kim Mulkey love to do? Has always done. So sometimes you're not only playing the team and the opponent, but you're playing the coach. The coach is going to stick with what's gotten them here. Trust me, they're not going to change what's been successful for them. So take a look at what the coach's tendencies are. Now, how about some reminders? And these are good. These are good for college, pro, any postseason. It doesn't matter what level. They're all valuable. And the first one is every possession is gold. There is no tomorrow. There is no next game. It's win or go home. So the sense of urgency is heightened. The extra effort, the intensity, you can feel it. You can feel it before the tip-off. And so your players must be prepared for matching that moment, matching that extra intensity, matching that extra sense of urgency. And you can never take a possession off. Every possession is gold. Never relax. There is no tomorrow, win or go home. So that's a really good reminder for your players to understand that. Second tip for you. A lot of coaches, when they get into postseason play, I'm going to put in a new defense. We'll put in a new offense. I got 3 or 4 new out of bounds. No. Stick with what got you there. Stick with what got you there. Instead of putting in new things, get better at what you've got. Get better at what you've got. Spend more time on getting better at the things that you do well. Okay, this is what's gotten you here. Do not put in new stuff. It's overwhelming to your players. Even if they weren't tired, even if they weren't exhausted, it would be overwhelming. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't tweak a play that you've already got or counter something that you know has been bothering you. That's different than putting in new actions, new sets, new plays, a whole new press, or putting in a whole new way to do something. Don't do it. It's confusing. It's time wasting. It's not a good idea. So stick with what got you there. And so that's really interesting because you need to know what got you there. What offensively, what defensively got you to the postseason. Because you need to keep doing that. And you need to keep doing that even better. And that goes right into the next tip, which is your opponents will know your tendencies. They're going to watch your last three losses. They're going to look at what bothers you. And so they are going to focus on doing the things that cost you losses before. So what you need to do is know what your weaknesses are and see if you can't just improve them just a little bit. If you're struggling with your rebounding, if you're struggling with your 2-man defense, whatever it might be, or if you're struggling with setting, you need to set better screens because your offensive execution has gotten a little sloppy. You've slipped. So you're not doing anything new. You're just doing what got you there a little better because you know your opponent is scouting you, just like you are scouting them. So stick with what got you there. Keep it simple. Keep that same routine. Whatever you've done to get you there, keep doing it. Keep doing. Less is better. Review, review, review. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Stick with what got you there. Keep going over what's been good for you. Do it a little bit better. Wait a little bit longer for that screen to be set. Use that screen a little bit better, shoulder to shoulder. Keep your head up a little bit more. How is the defense guarding you? Are they trapping? Okay, then we're going to pick and pop. Are they icing? Okay, we have a plan against icing. So that goes back to what I was saying. You will be scouted. And what have you struggled with in games that you lost? And if you're not executing your two-man game against icing well, then make sure you're ready for that. Make sure you're ready for the things that have bothered you. The really good teams are going to use against you what you struggle with. So take a look. It doesn't have to be anything big. Are you struggling getting your post, a low post pass? Well, think about how can we get them a better pass. So focus on that. But review, review, review. And I can't emphasize enough to you about less is better. Shorter practices, shorter everything. And that's where, as a coach, you've got to learn whatever you got out of 90 minutes, then you should learn how to get it out of 60 minutes. And then you should learn to get it out of 45 minutes. And how do you do that? Well, you prioritize what matters, what is key to you being the best that you can be. And your drills or your sessions are shorter. Instead of doing a 10-minute shooting session, maybe you only do 7. So you're still doing the things that are important, but you're doing them shorter. And don't waste a second. The most valuable asset that you have in postseason is time. How will you use the little time that you have? So spend an enormous amount of time, coach, planning every second of every practice that you have. Do not waste a minute. And that drill that you love, that you're going to use, can you get 3 things out of it? Can you get 3 or 4 things out of it? If you're doing a drill and you're only getting 1 or 2 things, it's not a multiple drill. You need to get more. You need to suck everything you can out of that drill because of time management. It's so, so important. The next tip that I would give you is, by the end of the season, everyone's ball handling, passing skills have improved. And so do not rely on turnovers as the only way to create your points. Early in the season, teams that pressed and trapped and disrupted created an enormous amount of points because players and teams were not set in their skills. They were not set in their press breakers. But by the end of the season, they are much better at handling any type of disruptive defense. So you must be prepared for other ways to score. You cannot just count on disruptive defense as being the only way that you can score. So be aware of that. Where will I get my points? Will I get them in the quarter court? Will I get them at the free throw line? Will I get them on out of bounds plays? Where am I going to get my 70 points? Because if I score 70 points, I'm going to win because I'm going to hold my opponent to 65. So expect lower scores. Postseason scores are traditionally lower in every league, pro, college, whatever. The scores are lower. Each possession is longer. It becomes a grinding execution versus tough defense every possession. And so that's where your execution, attention to detail, setting that screen at the right place, waiting for that screen, your spacing. The difference in good spacing and great spacing is 2 or 3 points. So it's so important that you understand you may not get that early shot that you've gotten during the season. You may have to make 3, 4, 5 passes. You may have to make the defense work longer to get the shot that you want, but be prepared for that. Postseason is about grinding it out. Along those same lines is expect close games. Postseason play, expect overtime games. Expect the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter to be back and forth and close and tough and just exciting. But there are not many runaway games. Maybe 1 versus 16 or 2 versus 15, maybe. But there's so much parity in our game today that I think you would be remiss in not being prepared for a close in-game situation. And so I encourage all coaches, review your in-game package. What is your plan the last minute with timeouts, with moving the ball, with no timeouts? What is your in-game package look like? Now, that doesn't mean put in new plays, but just be better and be smarter and be wiser at what you already have. I'm assuming you have an in-game special situation package. You know the plays, the set that you would use to get a 2, to get a 3, to get the ball in bounds, to be fouled. You know, you have an in-game special situation package, but you're going to review it. It goes back to reviewing it. I know how I'm going to get a 3. I know how I'm going to get a 2. I know how I'm going to get it in bounds to my best free throw shooter. So I mentioned all this offensively, but you need a defensive in-game package. You know, are you going to trap? Are you going to switch? You know, what is your in-game package? And you already have it. You just review it. Make sure your players are clear. And what if your best inbounder has fouled out? Who is your backup inbounder? You already know. And one of your assistants knows. You have an assistant on your staff that focuses on special situations. They are handy dandy. They are ready to help you. You've got a lot of responsibility, head coach. And that's where those assistants really come into play. And they really come into play in postseason because there is so much stuff going on. So many things being bombarded at you. So let those assistants assist you in the areas that they're responsible for. Another tip is stick with that substitution pattern that you've developed. Now's not the time to experiment. You've created, you know who's first sub on the perimeter, first sub in the post, who's another sub. Don't start tinkering. Stick with what got you there. Back to your assistants. Use those assistants. That defensive coach, your defensive coach, they're really going to help you in the postseason. They know what the defensive scheme you've got is going to bother your opponent. That's why I said all of your assistants and you need to watch film on your opponent, not just the scout coach. All of you need to be comfortable with what to expect from your opponent because they're so new. Don't leave it all on one person's lap. Every one of you needs to know and be aware of what to expect from your opponent. Make sure those assistants are staying in close touch with your players. You're in touch with them, but each assistant has probably got a position, the guards, the wings, the post, and they are in constant communication with your players. They are listening to their concerns. They're knowing how they're doing. There are no surprises. You don't get surprised because if something unexpected comes up, your assistant already knows about it, and they probably can take care of it. But if it's something serious, then they're going to alert you to it. You don't want to be the last one to know that there's an issue. So make sure that those assistants are busy staying connected to your players. This isolation period, they should be able to know how every one of their players are doing. Are they good? We got good. What are they doing? Well, they're playing games. Well, what are they doing? Well, they're playing words with friends online. What are your players doing? How are they doing? So stay connected. One other thing I like to mention for postseason is the concept of being prepared a little bit for the unexpected. And it may be that you're going to come up against a team that's just got an unbelievable superstar on the perimeter. I mean, she can't be stopped one-on-one. And so if you come up against a player like that and she's killing you, what would you do? And I call it the what ifs. What if so-and-so goes off for 25 and it's just halftime? You know, what are we going to do? Are we going to switch? Are we going to trap? You know, in the back of your mind, and you may not even work on it. I'm not talking about practicing it. I'm just talking about you as a staff brainstorming. What if? What if that post player, we just can't, we can't play her one-on-one. We thought we could. So what if? What are we going to do? So you talk through it. And you know that if somebody goes crazy on you, that you've talked about it with your staff, and you may have come up with a couple of different ideas. You know, you may say, well, gosh, we're going to trap her. You know, whoever makes the pass will trap, and then we'll just scramble. Or we're going to double that post, or we're going to triple her, whatever. We're going to make her be a passer. So I think having a conversation about what if in the postseason, what if this happens? What would we do? It is a good idea. And it's kind of fun to figure out, okay, what if she goes off? What are we going to do? You know, but you've talked about it. You're not caught off guard at halftime. You go into halftime and somebody's got 25 points on you, and you're not like, now you have the conversation instead of you've had it before. And then the other area that I think is really important in postseason play is making sure that you send a strong message of how thankful and how grateful you are for those behind the scenes. I call it the team behind the team. And let's be real here. The better the team behind the team is, the better you are, the further you go. And so think of ways that you can thank, acknowledge, praise, all of those behind the scenes, because they have tremendous value. Those managers that got up at 4 a.m. and rode the bus to San Antonio because somebody had to ride the bus with the equipment. The Dobo that's taking care of all the there's just so many people behind the scenes. The equipment manager that makes sure you have everything. So find a way to show your gratefulness, to show how thankful you are. And I think about the term thank you. And I don't even know who told me this. It might have been Pat Summit. I can't remember. It might have been Kay Yao. Thank yous are like rebounds. You can never rebound too much, and you can never say thank you too much. So this is a wonderful time to continue to acknowledge those people that have had a key part in getting you where you are. At the same time, don't forget those subs. Don't forget those players that rarely play, that rarely get in the game. But yet they work and they hustle and they fight in practice, and they're your practice players, and they're positive and they're encouraging. And so don't forget them. Make sure you find a way to acknowledge them. And, I've always thought it was great to have a practice player of the day, somebody that, you always knew was on the practice squad, but they had a great day. And so you acknowledged them throughout the year. But this is another time, because you wouldn't be here where you are today if it weren't for these key people behind the scenes. So I'm encouraging you to don't forget to be thankful, and don't forget to be grateful. And then probably the last tip would be have fun. Have fun. You've worked so hard. You've come so far. You've overcome so much adversity, and you're still standing. And these are young people that love to laugh and they love to have fun. And so whatever you're doing at the hotel or at practice, make sure there's some time there where there's some laughter, where they have fun. And sometimes, it could be some type of a competition. It could be anything, but don't underestimate the value of laughter, and don't underestimate the value of your players enjoying the trip, enjoying the moment. And so, remember, laughter is a tranquilizer with no side effects. And it's just a wonderful reliever of stress. And so let your guard down and have fun. Enjoy this moment. So these are the tips that I have for you. I'm sure there's some other tips that someone else would have, but these are the ones that came to my mind as I thought about postseason play. And tips that I think would help a coach be more prepared for postseason play. So what I'm hoping is that those of you listening will take a moment now and ask me some questions. Let me know if there's something on your mind that's going on with postseason play that you're curious about. I would love to discuss that. I would love to answer your questions. Becky, do we have any questions? Hello, Becky. I may have lost my backup person here. I think one of the things, and I'll just drift over into another topic here in case I don't know where Becky went, but here's one. With COVID, what can coaches do to get the kids to let go of anxiety? Well, I think that's a great question. I don't know who asked it, but I love it because they are anxious and they are emotionally exhausted and they are worried. I personally have had both COVID vaccine shots, and I'm still worried. I'm still worried about friends and family. And so I'm sure many of our players are anxious, not only about the tournament, but they're still anxious about COVID in our country. And so I think having Zoom speakers on mental health is extremely important. And I think if I was coaching now with a college or pro team, I would make sure once a week we're addressing the issues that are concerning our players, if it's mental health, if it's COVID, if it's racial tension. I know we're all still struggling over George Floyd's death and Breonna Taylor's death. And so there's still issues that we have that create anxiety. But constant, committed discussions about mental health, about how you feel, about things you can do. I know some teams have started doing yoga just to eliminate stress, and they found that helps. But I believe talking about it helps. I think addressing the issue is really important. Don't ignore it. Don't skirt it. And bring in professionals. Now with Zoom, you can bring in professionals from all over the country that can talk to your players and relate to your players. You can even bring in former players. I listened to Shamika Holesclaw talk about mental health, and it was phenomenal. And she is one of our all-time greatest players, and she shares her experiences with dealing with mental health issues. So provide the resources for your players to help with anxiety, to help with anything that's bothering them. Don't ignore it. Don't excuse it. Don't hide it. So I think that is a really good question, and I think that's really important. I see another question about the transfer portal, and I think that's a great point right now in postseason is how are you handling the transfer portal because I'm seeing young people go into the portal and they're actually playing in the tournament. So this is obviously a really interesting issue about how you handle players that have come to you and said, Coach, I want to transfer. And so I think you need to be open to discussion. I think you need to be open to finding out why they want to go somewhere else. I am a firm believer that if a player is not going to play for you, if they know they're going to sit on the bench their entire career and they really want to play, and they would like to transfer to a school where they know they can play, perhaps from D1 to D2, that you should help them. I get that, and I think that's okay. I think the other thing that's come into play with the portal is this extra year that the NCAA has given seniors. They could play another year. Well, how does that fit into your recruiting? How does that fit into everything? So there's some issues that are coming up now that are different. That COVID has created differences. But I looked at the transfer portal yesterday, and there are 420 women in the transfer portal. And so that is a huge amount of players that, for whatever reason, and there are lots of reasons why players want to leave. Some good, some bad, some ugly. But if I were a coach, I would want to know if some of my players, I would want one of my assistants to come to me and give me a heads up. So-and-so may want to transfer. So when she does come to me, it's not a surprise. That's what I expect my assistants to know, what's going on with all of my players. But if it's a player that wants to go down a level, I'm going to help them. And I think that's a positive thing to do. I'm certainly not going to make any enemies by hurting a young person that wants to go somewhere else. But I do think it's tough enough to compete in the postseason, and now you're dealing with players wanting to transfer. So, again, that's where I think your assistants can really help you. How do you build trust with assistants to feel comfortable giving more responsibility? Well, that's a great question. First of all, hire great assistants. One of the most important things that you do as a head coach is who you hire, who you allow into your program, who you allow into your inner circle. Your staff, coaching staff, your support staff, and your players. They're all part of your inner circle family. Who are you going to let in? And do not let someone in that does not fit your core values, does not fit your style, your system. So you better do enormous research before you hire somebody. And before you hire somebody, you better know real well and real clearly what you need. Do you need that person? Are you hiring that person because they're friends? What do you need on your staff? And then you have to, once you bring these people into your program, players, support staff, you have to train them. You have to grow them. You have to educate them. You're responsible for telling them, here's what we're going to do for professional growth. You're going to empower them. You're going to give them responsibility so that they grow and so that they can show you what they can do. And as they get better and as they grow, then you become even more and more confident in them. But you need to be confident in them when you hire them because you have done your research and you've done all your due research. Don't tell me you hired somebody and you didn't call the last 3 places where they worked. You have to do that. You have to do your research, your due diligence. Same with the players. You better know everything about that player, from the coach, from the managers there at the high school, from the janitor, from the trainer, from the athletic director, from the principal. What are you allowing into your program? It's really, really important. Let's see here. How do you keep the team focused on one game at a time and not get ahead of themselves? Wow, that's another great question. Well, first of all, you don't even focus on the game. You focus on the first 4 minutes, 4 minutes at a time. You don't even look at the second quarter. You don't even look at half. So if you want to get your players to be laser focused, okay, the only thing that matters is the first 4 minutes of the first game. And after that first 4 minutes, you've taken that timeout. Now, the only thing that matters, let's win this next 4 minutes. And so we're never looking past 4 minutes. So how could we even possibly look at the next opponent? We're not even looking to the next quarter. So if that becomes a philosophy of yours and you instill this in our players, all that matters is this 4 minutes. Okay, we won that 4 minutes. Well, guys, we didn't win that 4 minutes because we gave up too many rebounds. Let's improve our rebounding and win this next 4 minutes. Okay, well, okay. So that helps them with laser focus, staying focused on small goals, small pieces. I think that's really, really important. What is your favorite postseason memory? Wow. I've had a lot. I've been very fortunate in college and pro. I think immediately when I read that question, I go back to college, and I remember when I was at Purdue and we were named a number 1 seed, but we got sent to Stanford. I'm like, whoa, we're a 1 seed, but the 2 seed Stanford is hosting the regional. So that was interesting. Thrilled to be a 1 seed, stunned to be sent out west. And so I remember meeting with my staff thinking, oh, wow, how are we going to approach this? Because however we approach it is how the players will approach it. And this is a good reminder, coaches. You know, a lot of times when you're talking to your staff and your players, you're working on an Academy Award. You know what I'm saying? You may be acting in a way that's different from how you're feeling in your heart and in your gut, but you have to set the example. And so I remember when I met before with the team before we started out on this, I said, I am so excited. We are a number 1 seed and we get to go west. It's freaking freezing here. We're going out west. We're going to play in California and San Diego, and and then we're going to go in the Maples Pavilion and we're going to kick their bleep. And so they got all excited because I was excited. And so lo and behold, we did do that. And so we had a mental approach that whatever happened to us was great. And we were going to make the most of it. And so then we ended up upsetting Stanford at Stanford and going to the Final Four. But I think a lot of it had to do with me and our staff being excited about going west. If we'd have been all pitiful patty about it, we probably lost in the second round. So the approach you take, the positive energy you show, really, it's contagious. And so I remember that. And then I remember, of course, in the pros, the playoffs, I remember winning a championship when we were an underdog. And so that's another key point for you. Just because you're not a 1 seed doesn't mean you can't win. Just because you're not a top 16 team doesn't mean you can't move along. So make the most of the opportunity that you have and don't assume anything. Anything can happen in the postseason. Trust me, anything can happen in the postseason. And so to go through the pro playoffs, the pro postseason as the underdog in the first round and in the second round and in the finals and win a championship, I can't think of anything more rewarding. And once again, it was because we took the position, oh, wow, this is great. We're the underdog. We've got a chip on our shoulder. We'll show you. And that's exactly what we did. How do you organize your postseason individual meetings? I think it's really important that you meet individually with each player before you start out and just see where they are, how they are. You know, you talk about coaches having individual one-on-one meetings throughout the year, and I think those have to be in the preseason, you know, in the fall. They have to be before the season starts. I think there should be before your conference starts. So that's the third meeting. And then I think you should have another one-on-one meeting before you go to postseason. You know, what's on your mind, how you're doing, what do you think about the team? What are your ideas? What are your suggestions? And it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 20 minutes. It can be just, hey, I want to know what you're thinking. What do we need to do to be a little bit better? And so I think you can't ever meet too much with your players. They want your time. They want your attention. And more than anything, they want you just to listen to them. Because when you listen to them, it sends a message that you value them. So I can't, I can't tell you how important it is to set up these one-on-one meetings with your players. And if you can meet away from campus, that's even better. But sometimes now we don't have a choice, but we have to meet on Zoom calls. And so, but that's better than nothing. You know, I was thinking the other day, I sure wish I had stock in Zoom because now I'd be a billionaire. Who would have thought that something as simple as virtual meetings would be so valuable and would be so important? Last question. How do you pick up your kids if you don't win in the postseason? Well, you know, when the last game is played and you didn't move on, that is an opportunity to, again, thank them. Thank them for all their hard work. Thank them for all of the wonderful sacrifices and how they fought through adversity. That last game is a time to celebrate what you accomplished. It's not about that one game. It's a time to be grateful. It's a time to be thankful. It's a real key time to acknowledge the seniors that won't be back. I've always felt like in that locker room, that last time, this will be the last time that we will be together. This will be the last time that we will all ever, more than likely, be together. And so you want to thank every one of them. You want to tell them how much you appreciate them. You acknowledge the staff. So when the last game is over, unless you're winning a championship and all that balloons and everything's falling down, that's a little bit different, but you lost. You talk about being grateful and you talk about being thankful and you acknowledge the team behind the team and you tell everyone how much you love them and how much you appreciate them and how honored you are to have been a part of working with this group this year. And it's always on a positive note. That game's over. It's gone. It's finished. Now it's about we've come to the end of a long, hard season. And I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you've done. And that's really important. That's the way you want that last game to be remembered. Because that is what will be remembered. They won't even remember the score. They won't even remember who they played. But they'll remember how we came together and thanked each other at the end of the season. I hope you guys really enjoyed our discussion tonight. Oops, there's one more question popped up. I thought we were through. How can you prepare young, inexperienced team to pick up intensity that comes with postseason play? Okay, last question, and then I want to talk to you about a step up. I think that is something you must instill in them throughout the year. Okay, you can't turn it on and you can't turn it off. So what you've got to do is you've got to create in practice drills that emphasize that sense of urgency all the time. And so it's not they understand what you're talking about. You don't allow them to take a possession off. And what you're doing in the postseason play is reminding them that everyone you play is like you. You're not going to play some of those teams that take possessions off that you played during the season. They're all gone. Now you are playing teams that have that same sense of urgency that you have, that you've instilled in them, that you've demanded from them in practice. And you're reminding them you're meeting a team that plays just as hard as you do, just as tough as you do. I just want you to be ready for playing a team like that, because they're not going to take a possession off. So you drill that and you teach that throughout the season. That high level of expectations, it's a non-negotiable. We will play with a sense of urgency. We will be intense. We will have tremendous effort. We're going to play that way all the time. And so then it's not hard. You don't turn it on or turn it off when you get to postseason. This is part of who we are. Okay, Becky, are you going to put up the step up thing for me? I want to again thank Felicia and Johnny, who are our leaders of Step Up. They have created just enormous opportunities for coaches to grow. In particular, they have emphasized assistant coaches, entry level, and then the next level coaches, assistant coaches that are trying to move on up to be a head coach. And they have been providing this spring May event for many years now. And I remember the first time that I went to a Step Up, and I was just blown away. I couldn't go home. I was supposed to be there one night, and I stayed for the whole event because it was so powerful. And I want to take this time here to encourage all of you. Even if you've been to a Step Up before, go again. I know some coaches go every year. It's part of their early May professional growth plan. And some coaches go for all 3 sessions. And I think it's just a great way to network. It's a great way to grow. It's a great way to get ready for the next level. And now we have a session for head coaches. There will be athletic directors there. There will be search firms there. I know Johnny and Felicia have had former coaches attend these sessions that are now head coaches because they met someone. They networked with someone at a Step Up. And so I want to encourage you to go online, stepup.com, and sign up. I think there's an early bird special, maybe before April the 1st, a discount if you sign up early. But I will be there. I will never miss another Step Up. It is one of the most powerful symposiums, professional growth events that I've ever been to. It is the most powerful. And so I'm thrilled to be part of it. I look forward to the speakers, and I look forward to the fellowship, and I look forward to the networking that takes place May 2nd, May 6th and 7th, May 3 and 4. It's actually between May 2nd and the 7th are the 3 different sessions. So, and then the head coach's executive leadership is 17 and 18. But we can't all go to Atlanta now. We can't all go to Charlotte, but we can all join each other for this virtual event. And I think it's going to be exciting to do it online. I know we've done some master classes, and I know we've done some other talks virtually, and they've turned out really well. And so I'm excited about a Step Up this spring, and I want to encourage all of you to sign up. It's going to be great. Speakers are going to be great, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to get better, better. You know, you never stay the same. You either get better or you get worse. So if you want to get better, then sign up for a Step Up today. Thank you, Becky, for putting up the sign. I appreciate it. It's been great talking to you, coaches. I hope the tips, the postseason tips, are beneficial. The good news is, if you didn't take notes and you lost track, and Coach Dunn said something you couldn't remember, this will be available for replay, and so you can pull it back up on the Step Up website. And I look forward to seeing all of you on the virtual Step Up spring event this May. And thank you, and have fun.